Chris Sewall here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer in that order. Welcome everyone. Regular rollers time. Let's roll right after I mention that this week's list is brought to you by Greg Morris Cards. More on them coming up in just a bit. We'll start off with one sent in by Jason, who wrote, recently I was looking at eBay and found this listing for a 2004 Bowman Chrome Yadier Molina rookie. While this card is not the rarest, I immediately noticed the card was graded by BGS, but the title of the listing didn't mention that. The photos are not the greatest, and the seller also put the back photo as the cover photo. After clicking on the listing, I saw the card was a BGS 9.5, and the seller was only asking $27.55 plus shipping. I couldn't click the buy it now button fast enough. I'm now the proud owner of this card, and it's a nice addition to my Yadier Molina PC. To me, there is no better way to spend $30. Side note, during the boom of 2021, I sold a BGS 9 copy of this card for $145. Leading off with back-to-back bargain pickups here. This one was sent in by Neil, who wrote, found this poorly titled auction a couple weeks ago, although no mention of players or refractors in the listing. I noticed that the Tom Brady looks shiny, and there were a ton of rookies like Khalil Mack, OBJ, and AD. So won the auction all in with shipping for about $10, and when it came in, I was pleasantly surprised. Not only was the Tom Brady a refractor, but there was a Randy Moss card numbered out of 100, and all the cards are in great shape, all being top-loaded. Not looking to really flip any, just excited to get a good deal on some PC cards without paying retail. Yeah, congrats on that. Great pickup. This Tom Brady is worth many times what you paid for the entire lot alone, so well done. Next one was sent in by Lou, who wrote, I wanted to share a pickup I had this week. I usually don't use golden auctions, but I had a few items I had my eye on. One of them was this interesting Cal Ripken Jr. Do you think this is a fair price for an on-card in-person PSA DNA slab? I know the auto is blah, but being a legit on-card auto makes up for it. Yeah, this is a good price. $27 for a Cal Ripken autograph card here, PSA authenticated for the auto. Cal Ripken signs a lot, so his autograph's quite common. It's not particularly expensive for that reason. But yeah, $27. That's a fair price. The thing I would say is this does not look like Cal Ripken's autograph. His autograph looks very different, but it is authenticated, so I guess they know something I don't. But yeah, $27. That's a fair price. Next up is one of mine, and actually two items I sold on eBay that I thought were kind of interesting. First is this 2011 Panini Preferred All-Star booklet. Seven-time jersey. You got Chris Mullin, Christian Laettner, Karl Malone, Larry Bird, John Stockton, Scottie Pippen, and Clyde Drexler. Card serial numbered out of 50. I had it listed for 180 or best offer, and somebody offered 140, which I accepted. And I don't know, I just thought this was a really cool card. I bought sort of like a large Karl Malone collection, and this was part of the collection. And yeah, a lot of star power here in one card. I think it's really cool. I'll give you a quick trivia for anyone who wants it. Which one of these 7 players was not on the original 1992 Olympic Dream Team and I'll give you a couple seconds to think about it. And if you said all of them were on it, you are correct, and you receive a gold star. And the second item I wanted to share was this 21 card Barry Bonds rookie lot that I sold on eBay, and actually made a pretty big mistake on this lot here. These are all rookies from 1987, or except the one card in the lower right is 1986. They're all Topps brands. The lower right card's Topps traded. All the others are Topps or Topps Glossy All-Stars. And they're all graded either a BCCG 10 or a Gem Elite 10. The company called Gem Elite is not credible at all. But most of them are, well, I guess, most of them are BCCG 10, which is Beckett. Now, it's sort of like this really low-end product Beckett put out. They no longer put it out, but, I mean, I guess it's credible because they are Beckett, and so it's sort of the lowest end of credible, we'll say. I listed it for $210, and somebody put in an offer of $150, and auto accepted, and that offer came in very, very shortly after I listed it. And yeah, I don't know what I did here. I just completely miscalculated the value here. The BCCG 10 cards generally sell for around $20 to $30 a piece, and there are 12 of them. So, you know, there's over $300 in value just on the BCCG. The Gem Elites, I mean, you can call them a few dollars, let's say, but clearly there's over $300 in value in this lot. I just mispriced it. I'm not sure what I was doing when I priced it. As soon as I saw that it sold so fast, I was like, oh, I wonder if I priced it a little bit too low. I went to look at it, and yeah, I clearly priced it quite a bit too low. But yeah, that sort of thing happens, and congrats to the buyer who got a good deal here. Next one was sent by David, who wrote, one of my goals for the new year is to increase my Hall of Fame collection. While looking for an Eddie Mathews card to add to my collection, I came across this listing for a 1954 Topps. It looked like it might end within my price range, so I added it to my watch list for further examination. When I came back to it and looked at the card closer, I noticed it was also that it was a grayback variation. The title did not mention this. I heard about the 1954 graybacks, but knew very little about them. After doing some research, I found out these are most likely the Canadian edition of the first series, and they are very rare. PSA has only graded 19 grayback Eddie Mathews versus 2,200 of the whitebacks. The only close comp for this card was a PSA 2.5 that sold for $400 in November. I then looked up graybacks of other players sold in the last year and found most of them went between $250 and $600. As the auction was nearing, the close price was still under $50. I prepared a snipe of just over $100 in case nobody else knew what it was. Incredibly, I won the card for $71.51. Wow, that is an incredible bargain. Yeah, the graybacks are very rare. They do not pop up very often, and good example of where doing your research and knowing your vintage variations can really help you find a bargain. This was sent by Farron, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw this auction. It looks like 22 original Mickey Mantle cards just laying on someone's floor. The title is weak and there's no description of condition. They look real, but I'm cringing at the way these were listed. Shouldn't there be some kind of penalty for treating your mantles like pocket lint? I'm curious what you think of the final price, assuming they are authentic. Yeah, so I looked over this listing quite a bit. If these are original, then this price is pretty good, even if the cards are lower grade. 56 tops in there, 55 Bowman in there. You got some other 50s. I think there's more than 3,700 in value, assuming the original. But I've mentioned before, I would just stay away from listings like this. Raw vintage, which is heavy mantles, because mantles are some of the most fake vintage cards there are. Now, I don't see anything in the pictures that tells me these are definitely fakes. A couple of the backs look a little bit off, but nothing jumps out as like a definite. But if you buy this kind of listing, more often than not, I think you're going to end up down. This one might be one of the ones where you're fine and you do well, but I think overall you would definitely lose more than you win. And another thing to note is, you are protected by eBay. Like if there's something incorrect about the description, you can return it for a full refund. But the seller does not offer returns on this listing, and what that means is you only have a 3-day window for that. So if you bought this, you would need to receive the package, go through it, determine their fakes, and initiate a refund within 3 days of having received it. Now, I mean, that's obviously plenty of time if you're making a point to do it, but if you need to get a second opinion, or if you are out of town, or if you forget, or that 3-day window can go by pretty quick. So just be cautious on that. Again, this is sort of listing I would avoid. If this was a $150 listing and it wasn't all mantles, then I would say that might be more worth a gamble. This was sent by Heinz, hope I'm pronouncing your name right, wrote, I found a weird item on ComC Auctions and would like your thoughts. It was produced by Upper Deck and claims to be the first ever basketball DVD card, 1998 to 99 Upper Deck Encore Power Deck. I couldn't find much sales history or grading. PSA site says they no longer grade them. I assume since they are DVDs. It makes it hard to confirm authenticity. From the little information I can find, pack odds were inserted 1 in 47 packs and was a subset of 9 media cards from the Encore set. What are your thoughts, and what do you think it's worth grading through an alternative grader such as SGC, CGC, or Beckett, and hopefully attain some authenticity, or just keep it as is and enjoy its historical significance? Yeah, I remember these. These were kind of quirky and interesting. Yeah, it's a DVD. You can actually play it in a DVD player, and I don't remember what it would play. I'm sure it's highlights of Kobe Bryant in this case, or something like that. But yeah, it was a gimmicky item that came out in the late 90s, and I remember these. This one's definitely original. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't know PSA doesn't grade them. That makes sense given their size and thickness. And I would actually imagine the other companies don't grade them either. But you could look into that. I would think financially it probably doesn't make a lot of sense to grade, as these aren't really highly desired collectibles in general. But yeah, I agree with you. Kind of a cool, interesting item from the late 90s. Sticking with late 90s Kobe cards, 1996 tops, Kobe Bryant rookie, graded PSA near mint 8. And I just wanted to highlight this card because during the pandemic boom, this was one of the cards that blew my mind more than any other. Just a year or two before 2020, the COVID year, you could buy this card all day long, $2, $5. I mean, I remember going to a card show probably in like 2018 and buying, 20 of these for $2 a piece, turning around and selling them for $4 a piece on eBay. But during the boom, this card just exploded, and even a PSA 8 today goes for $65. PSA 8, for a 90s card like this would probably roughly equate to a raw value. Maybe an 8's a little more, but you get the picture that you could buy these endlessly for like $2 to $5 just a few years before the pandemic. Now, I was the seller of this card. I sold it through Greg Morris Cards, who, as I mentioned at the beginning, is sponsoring this episode. They're one of the most trusted sellers of sports cards on all of eBay. Specialty is sort of raw vintage, but they do everything, including modern basketball, as you can see here, graded, raw, everything. Amazing company with a lot of feedback and fantastic reputation. I am a customer theirs, both as a buyer and seller. If you want to check out their inventory or contact them for consignment purposes, I recommend it, and I have included links to all that in the description below. Next one was sent in by Mike, and it's a nice story. He wrote, yesterday morning I went into downtown Pittsburgh, not far from where I live, to attend Pirates Fest that the Pittsburgh Pirates were hosting at the convention center. I'd previously signed up to get free entry tickets, but there were timed auto tickets for various players and alumni from the Pirates that were going to be present, but they were sold out on Wednesday, and they sold out instantly. I was pretty bummed. I still considered going and bringing my 5-year-old daughter with me. As luck would have it, I was able to buy a ticket at face value for $25 to one of the timed sessions. That would allow me to get up to get autos of 4 current players on the roster. I brought with me a set of cards that I had bought either on eBay or had traded with people on Reddit for, and a baseball. They were to have, in addition to the time sessions, free autos for kids under 14, though the details on who would participate on that were pretty vague. What I came home with were 6 total autos. I've included pics of the autos I was able to get. The baseball already had Freddie Sanchez, Brad Eldridge, and Ian Snell's auto that I had bought a few years back at a thrift store. Very, very cool. Cool that you brought your daughter, and sounds like it was a really great time. And I'll finish on one sent in by Peter. I recently found several vintage lots listed on eBay by the same seller, all ending on the same day. Each lot added $5 shipping, which when combined with the starting bid prices made the lots a little too expensive for any decent breakup value, with one exception. The third lot listed included a 68 Mantle from the Run Over by a Truck division, and a rough 62 Post Mantle, 72 high number Boog Powell, and several Pete Rose and Johnny Bench cards. Even with poor condition of the Mantle, I estimated the breakup value at about $150. The lots all had nondescript titles and a very few bids or watchers leading up to the auction times. I decided to take a shot at winning all 5 lots and then hope to combine shipping. I was the only bidder on the first 2 lots at $10.99 and $11.99, including cards of Thurman Munson and Billy Williams, but to make those profitable, I had to get the Mantle at a decent price. Unlike the first 2 lots, I had competition for this one. I figured $100 would still leave me enough meat on the bone, but luckily won it for $61.55. Then won the last 2 lots, fending off a few other bidders for the lots that include 65 McCovey, 68 Banks, 71 and 72 Ted Williams, several Reggie Jackson and Pete Rose cards from the 70s. I lucked out again when the seller agreed to ship all 5 lots for just $5 total, which means I was all in for $137.96 for a lot of 80 pretty nice vintage cards. Even considering the low-grade condition of many of the cards, I should be able to double my money. Yeah, very, very well done here, using your, eBay skills to find a deal. The combined shipping thing you said, definitely something to take advantage of if you can. If a seller has high shipping costs, but you want a bunch of items from them, maybe buying a bunch and getting combined shipping can make a huge difference, as it did here. And finding listings where, the title is just not very adequate here. You got to have the years, you got to have some years, you got to have tops, definitely need some names. That would have gotten a lot more eyeballs on these auctions. So they probably went lower than they would have otherwise. But yeah, I think you're probably right. This third listing you'll probably roughly get your money back from just the cards in this listing. And you might be saying, well, earlier you said don't buy a lot with those mantles, but this listing is a lot more likely to where everything's going to be original. Most of these cards, there are no fakes of them. There aren't fake 73 Garveys and 77 Fergie Jenkins, and there aren't fakes of that. And, the Mantle technically could be a fake, but it's in with a bunch of original cards, and it sort of fits it. So I would say it's much more likely to be good. Whereas the previous listing, 22 Mantles, that seems a little convenient. Again, the previous listing might have been good, but I just think there was a higher risk of those being fakes, whereas this one, I think you're good and you will probably do really well. But that's it for this week's regular rollers. Really appreciate everyone watching and really appreciate all the great submissions as always. And whether you are high or regular, keep rolling. Thanks, everyone.